transmission of the maximum power, and also the condition for transmitting the maximum power using the converging nozzle from connected at the end of the pipe. So we have find the condition that HF must be equal to the one third of the total head that is available at the inlet of the pipe. And we have already calculated the diameter of the nozzle that is being must be there for the maximum power transmission using the converging nozzle. So now moving on to our next topic, that is the topic is water knocking or the water hammering, or it is sometimes also called hammer blow in water or hammer blow in pipes. So what is water hammering in pipe? So let us assume that is a long pipe when the water is being flowing from one end to other end within the pipe, and suddenly let us say the water is flowing at a certain velocity from one point to another point of the pipe, and suddenly you have a like this. You can see the figure. Now I am moving on to the next slide. You can see this is the figure when the water is being flowing from one end to other end, and suddenly you have closed the valve. So first figure is showing that when the valve is already closed. So the water is when you have the valve is already closed, the water is still, it is not moving from one point to other point. The second image is showing when the valve is open, that is gate valve. As you have gate valves in your homes also, whenever you want to switch on the supply, you can on the gate valve, and if you reverse the gate valve in the opposite direction, then the supply will be off and there will be no water flow from one end to the other end. So in the second case, you can see the valve is open and the water is moving continuously from one end to the other end. You can see in the second figure, the valve is open and the water is being transported from one end of the pipe to the other end of the pipe. In the third figure, where I just want to show the process of the water hammering in the pipes or the hammer blow. So how it does affect the inner surface of the pipe, or how does it affect the gate valve or the flow, that is called the water hammering. So let us say the water is moving from one point to another point as shown in the figure 2, and the valve is open and it is moving at certain momentum from one point to another point, and suddenly you have closed the gate valve. As soon as you have closed the gate valve, the water will travel backward, its momentum will be destroyed, it will travel backward to the along the length of the pipe, and that it will cause a certain type of noise, and that noise that occurred due to the travel of the pressure wave in the backward direction into the pipe is known as the water hammering. So you can see as soon as you have suddenly destroyed the momentum of the pipe and the pressure, there is a sudden rise in the pressure and the water will be uh, travel in the backward direction in the form of the pressure wave along the length of the pipe and just causing the some noise. Then that noise that occurred due to the travel of the pressure wave backward into the pipeline is known as the knocking, and that is that process, that noise that is being created whenever the momentum is destroyed is called the knocking. And the sudden rise of the pressure in the water pipe due to the sudden stoppage of wall or due to the sudden closing of the wall, that is called the water hammering. That is, as soon as you have suddenly closed the gate wall, the water will move in the backward direction, its momentum will be destroyed, and there is a sudden rise in the pressure of the water within the pipe, and that water, sudden rise in the pressure of the water may destroy the inner portion of the pipe, that is called the water hammering. How it damage the inner portion? Because whenever there is sudden rise in the pressure, there is a the momentum of the flowing water is being destroyed, so the kinetic energy will be changed into the strain energy, which will result in the sudden rise in the pressure at the point of the closed valve. So the whole amount of kinetic energy is being converted into the strain energy, because whenever the water is moving from one point to another point, it is having kinetic energy, that is the velocity due to the speed or the velocity of the water. So the energy due to the velocity of the water, that is the kinetic energy is being was there, but as soon as you have suddenly closed the gate wall, it's the momentum of the water is being destroyed, and hence it will move in the backward direction along the length of the pipe, and suddenly the kinetic energy is converted into the strain energy. And due to that sudden rise in the pressure of the strain energy, or so due to the sudden rise in the pressure energy of the water in line, due to the sudden stoppage of the wall, or you can say sudden closing of the wall, that is called the water hammering. So this sudden rise in pressure is causing the porousness or the corrosion inside the pipe. So it is corroded, that in inner portion of the pipe will be corroded, and it is causing the that is called the water hammering. So why it is called water hammering? Because the water is striking at very high pressure inside the pipe, in to the inner portion of the inner surface of the pipe. So it is striking at very high pressure to the inner portion of the pipe, and thus closing or corroding that inner portion and making the pores in the pipe. So this water hammering will generally reduces the life of the pipe. So it is not advisable to suddenly close the gate wall. It is always advisable to gradually close the gate wall, so that the momentum of the water suddenly should not be destroyed, and also the kinetic energy should not be suddenly converted into the strain energy, and thus avoiding the causes of the water hammering, and suddenly avoiding the water hammering that may reduces the life of the pipe. So you can understand this. So this is in the first case, I am again repeating this. So in the first case, you can see the water is being still, it is at the rest whenever the gate valve is closed. But as soon as you have opened it, the water is moving at a constant speed from one end of the pipe to the other end of the pipe. But whenever the water is moving at a certain speed, and suddenly you have closed the valve, as you can see in the third figure. So as soon as you have suddenly closed the gate wall, the momentum of the water is being destroyed, the whole amount of kinetic energy is being converted into the strain energy. That results into the sudden rise in the pressure of the water at the point of the closing of the water, and the water will move in the backward direction along the length of the pipe, and it suddenly increases the pressure of the water, and the layers of the water and the particles of the water start mm, striking to the inner portion or inner surface of the pipe with a very high pressure, and creating some noise, and that noise which is being created due to the traveling of pressure waves in the backward direction is known as the knocking. Whereas as soon as there is sudden rise in the pressure in the pipe of the water due to the sudden closing of the gate valve, then that is known as the water hammering. That water hammering is always uh, avoidable. It is needed to be avoidable, and to avoid the uh, water hammering in the cases of the uh, whenever the water is being flowing from one end to other end, that is, it is advisable to gradually or slowly close the gate valves. So the magnitude of the rise of the pressure is always dependent on the some points, like the speed at which the gate wall is being closed. It is dependent on that. That is, it should be gradually closed so that the momentum of the water should not be destroyed, and there should not be any generation of noise, and the water should not move in the backward direction suddenly. And the water hammering also dependent on the point, that is how much velocity the water is being flowing from the one end to the other end, and it is also dependent on the length of the pipe. If the length of the pipe is suddenly short and the velocity of the water is very high, and you have suddenly closed the gate wall, and that in that case the water does not have any space to travel in the backward direction, so there are there are more chances so of the water hammering when the length of the pipe is small. But if the length of the pipe is somewhat larger, and then you have closed the gate wall suddenly, then the water has some space to travel in the backward direction, and the chances of water hammering are less. Last but not the least point, is that the water hammering also is also dependent upon the elastic properties of the material of the pipe and as well as of that of the flowing fluid. That is, if the elastic material means that is the material of which the pipe has been made, that is, if the material of the pipe is inelastic and its walls are rigid, so the intensity of pressure should not uh, destroy the inner surface of the pipe. But if the inner portion or the surface of the pipe is having some elastic properties, then it can deform. Then the water hammering can destroy the inner portion of the pipe. It can corrode. It is more. It will be more tiered as compared to the pipe that is inelastic. So when the pipe is elastic, the momentum will be destroyed, the pipe walls get distended, and the compressibility of the liquid may take place. So in this case, there is a loss of kinetic energy of the liquid that may be equal to the strain energy in the liquid column and as well as in the pipe walls. And in that case, there may be generation of pores in the pipe, and you have to completely replace the pipe because the pipes are generally not repairable. So this is the concept of the water hammering. So to avoid the water hammering, there should be always be a larger length of pipe may be used. So inelastic material pipes may be used, and also uh, the velocity of the water may be controlled so that to avoid the water hammering. And also the first and the most important point is that the gradual closing of the valve is recommendable. Next is the siphon. So you can see there are two reservoirs or two beakers in which a siphon is being connected. That long bent pipe that you can see from that is connected at the one end of the reservoir to the other end is connected to the second reservoir. You can see this is a long bent pipe which is being used to transport the water from one end to other end, but it is having some very important advantage to transporting the water from the one reservoir to the other reservoir. You can see the reservoir A is at the higher height, whereas the reservoir B is at the lower height. So this siphon tube or siphon is basically is being used whenever you want to transport the water from one end to other end, and these two ends are being transmitted by high level ground, or you can say hill. So this siphon tube is basically used in the hilly area to transport the water from the higher end of the hill to the lower end of the hill. So the upper portion of the siphon tube is called the summit, and as soon as you have connected that siphon tube with the one end of the siphon tube with the first reservoir and the second end to the second reservoir. So this is being used to carry out the water from the higher point to the lower point. You can see as soon as it is being connected, the water start moving into the siphon, and with the help of that pressure energy and the potential energy. How the potential energy is helpful here, because you're transporting the water from higher elevation to the lower elevation, and the siphon basically in this the water is rises over the crest. This is the crest, that is the upper portion of the pipe. It is sometimes also called summit here, as you can see in the figure, and it discharges the water at the lower level. And as soon as the water flows through the siphon tube, the energy due to the pressure and the potential means that is due to the elevation, due to the height of the hill, and it is either lost to the pipe friction and it is being converted into the velocity energy, or you can say the kinetic energy. So whenever you have connected that siphon tube to the first reservoir and the second reservoir, and you want to transport the water from the higher height to the lower height, then initially it is having the total energy, which is the sum of the pressure energy and the potential energy. Why it is having potential energy, or the because the first reservoir is at the higher height as compared to the second reservoir, and as soon as the water starts, the water is only being transported because it is at the higher height, because it is having some potential energy. Due to that potential energy and pressure energy, the water is being start traveling from point A to point B, and as soon as it crosses the highest point of the summit, or highest point of the siphon, that is summit, the whole of the energy, that is the sum of the initially that was the sum of the pressure energy and the potential energy, is being converted into a single form of energy, that is kinetic energy. Because as soon as you can see from the point summit to the lower portion of the siphon which is being connected to the reservoir B, that whole energy is being converted into a single form of energy, that is called the kinetic energy. Due to that can velocity, or due to that kinetic energy, the water start moving downward from the summit point to the lower point of the siphon, and hence the water is being transmitted or transported to the reservoir B, and hence B reservoir start filled. So you can see this is also based on the principle of the total head. That is, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another form. So whenever you are transporting the water using that siphon tube, so here the siphon tube, the first end is connected at the higher point, or at the point from where the water is to be transmitted, and the second point is at the lower ground level or at the lower portion of the hill. Whenever you are transmitting the water, you can see initially it is having the energy due to the height, that is called the potential energy, and having the some pressure energy, because you can see it is connected at the lower end of the reservoir, so the pressure will be more at the lower portion of the reservoir. So that is why I'm saying that it is having two kinds of energy. First is the pressure energy and second is the potential energy. And as soon as due to these two energies, the water start moving from first point of the siphon to the second point of the siphon, and as soon as it reaches at the summit, and due to the downward elevation of the siphon tube from summit to the lower point, the whole of the energy is being converted from pressure energy to the pressure and potential to the kinetic energy. So due to the help of that, due to the kinetic energy, the water is easily transported from point summit point to the lower portion of the reservoir, and hence it is being very helpful while you are transporting the water from lower level to the higher level to the lower level. So you can say the siphon can be used in the following cases: to transport the water from the one reservoir to another reservoir when they are separated by a hill, or you can say ridge. Second case, when you can transport the water from a canal or river whenever there is no outlet is being provided for the flow. And for the third case, to empty a tank which is being not provided with an outlet. So you can use its siphon tube in a tank where the outlet is not provided, and you can carry out the water, you can transport the water from one reservoir to another reservoir whenever uh, there is a difference of height between the points from where the water is being transported. And third case is always there, that is whenever a canal doesn't have any outlet for the water to be flow. So in these three cases you can use the siphon tube. So next topic is the surge tank. You can see in the slides. So this is the surge tank. You can see from the figure. Try to understand from the figure. So we have the reservoir, that is the canal at the rear end of the dam. So this is the dam. You can see figure. Is the figure is clear to you, or I should zoom it? Is the figure is clear to you?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So this is the dam. You can see in the rear end of the dam we have some canal or reservoir, and this is the hydraulic gradient line and the tunnel, or you can say this is the pen stop from where the water is being transported from the dam to the powerhouse, where we have the turbines or the dynamos, so as to convert that hydraulic energy into the mechanical energy, and that using that mechanical energy using the dynamo, we will convert that mechanical energy into the electrical energy, and that is being transported to our homes, our domestic area, as well as in the commercial purposes. So understanding the concept of the surge tank, you can see we have already read in the previous slides about the concept of the water handling. So If we do not encounter the phenomena of the water hammering in the pipes whenever the water is being transported from higher height to the lower height, and we can see in the case of the dams there is large difference between the heights of the upper portion of the dam to the where the water is being transported at the turbines, because the electricity or the electrical energy is being generated with the help of the hydraulic energy. That hydraulic energy initially have the sum of pressure and potential energy, but as soon as it is being transported with the help of the elevation from lower higher point to the lower point, then that whole of energy is being converted into the kinetic energy. That is the energy which is present in the water due to its velocity. So if we don't install a tank that is named as a surge tank to avoid that water hammering from when the water is being transported from the dam to the powerhouse, then that water hammering may takes place in the inner portion or the inner surface of the pipe. Then we have to continuously replace after every 2 months or after every 6 months we have to replace the penstoke pipes and the tunnels from where the water is being transported, which is very very costlier thing, and also it is not advisable to always replace these penstocks and the use very very high elastic material so that it should not grow. So to avoid the concept of the water hammering in the case of the dams when the water is being transferred from the higher height to the lower height, we have installed, and it is being recommended to install a surge tank in between the tunnel from where the water is being transferred from the higher height of the dam to the powerhouse where the turbines are installed. And you can see here the surge tank is being installed in between the tunnel that is placed at the higher height and the penstoke. Penstoke is basically a varying diameter pipe which is being used to transport the water from the dam to the turbines, and whenever the water is striking the turbines, it is converting, then turbines are converting that receiving the hydraulic energy and converting that hydraulic energy to mechanical energy, and therefore they are being using the dynamo. We are converting the mechanical energy into the electrical energy. So not drifting from the main topic, that is the surge tank. So to avoid the uh, the concept of the water hammering or the sudden change in the pressure due to the mm, sudden uh, elevation of the height of the liquid which is being transported, of the water which is being transported from higher height to lower height, we have installed a surge tank. So what is the function of surge tank? You can see as soon as the water is being transported from dam using the tunnel to the lower point, we have installed a surge tank. What is the surge tank is doing? It is storing the water initially like a simple tank you have in your homes at the roof of your home. You are simply storing the water, you are transporting the water from lower level to higher level. So similarly, in the case of the dam, we are transporting initially from water from the reservoir through the tunnel to the surge tank. That surge tank is initially storing the water, resting the water. The water is being at rest. That is, there is no pressure energy. There is only potential energy in the water. So the velocities also has been reduced because the velocity is also becomes equal to zero because the water has came to rest. So as soon as the water has come to rest, whenever it is being transported from the reservoir through the tunnel to the surge tank, and then whenever the water is come to rest, and then we'll open the gate wall from the surge tank so as to dry out all the knocking or all the sudden rise in the pressure of the water, to dry out all the sudden or dry out the whole momentum from which it is being uh, receiving through the tunnel and it is being sent to the fan stove. Whenever you have die out the momentum of the water, you have stored the water initially in the surge tank. तो हमने क्या किया है, यहाँ से पहले जब हमने वाटर को ट्रांसपोर्ट किया है फ्रॉम द रेजरवायर टू द टनल टू द सर्च टैंक, तो सर्च टैंक पे क्या हो रहा है, जितना भी हमारा मोमेंटम है क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे आके हमारा वो डाई आउट हो रहा है और हम उसको प्रिवेंट कर रहे हैं to sudden rise in the pressure. And as soon as we are preventing the sudden rise in the pressure, and it will avoid the sudden knocking or sudden water hammering to the inner surface of the pipe. And then we are again gradually opening the gate valve that is the right hand side gate wall. You can see the cursor of the mouse. So here we are having the second gate wall, which is being installed at the in between the surge track and the fan stove. And whenever you are gradually opening the that gate wall, the water is being transferred from the surge tank to the fan stove, and again it is, you can see, whole of the pressure energy and potential energy is converted into the kinetic energy, because it is, the elevation is being downstream, and the water elevation is being reducing from the surge tank to the powerhouse, and the water is striking with a very high velocity with very high kinetic energy from surge tank to the powerhouse, where the turbines are being installed. And as soon as the water is striking at the very high velocity to the turbines, they are start rotating in a certain direction, and with the help of that rotation of the turbines, they are being used to generate the mechanical energy. But the main purpose of the surge tank is to prevent the sudden rise in the pressure whenever the water is being transferred from very large height. So we have divided the transportation of water from in two ways, or we can say in two parts. It is not being transported directly from the reservoir to the powerhouse. We are transporting the water from the reservoir, initially from the reservoir to the surge tank. The surge tank is reducing all the pressure energy, it is reducing all the sudden noise, it is reducing the water hammering, and it is reducing the acceleration of the water. That because so as to avoid the water hammering in the tunnel as well as in the fan stroke. But if we haven't installed a surge tank, you can see there is very large difference in the height of reservoir and the powerhouse. Powerhouse is at the ground level, whereas reservoir is at the height of the dam, and you are striking the water. If you are striking the water from dam to the powerhouse directly without the installation of the surge tank, you can see there will be very high velocity of water whenever it is striking the blades of the turbine. So it will generate a sudden rise in the pressure in between the traveling of the water from the tunnel to the uh, powerhouse through the pen stroke, and it will create the corrosiveness, and it will create the pores. It will, due to the sudden rise in pressure, there will be collision of water particles uh, with each other, and hence they will generate the very high pressure energy that will corrode the inner surface of the pipe, and that corrosiveness will reduces the life of the penstoke as well as the tunnel through which the water is being transported from the reservoir to the penstoke. So to avoid the sudden rise in pressure, to avoid the collision of the water particles, so as to there should not be any uh, high rise in pressure, and so as to potentially reduce the potential damage that results due to the change in the sudden rise in the pressure of the water. So this is the concept of the surge tank. It is, so what is the meaning of the surge? It is basically reducing the pressure swings so that they should not be transported in a closed circuit. So next are the various types of the surge tank. So you can see there are certain types of the surge tank according to our syllabus. So first one is a simple surge tank, inclined or gallery expansion type surge tank. Third is the inclined surge tank. Fourth is the restricted orifice surge tank, and last one will be the, we'll study the differential surge tank. So first one is the simple surge tank that we have read in this. This is the concept. This is the type of the simple surge tank which you have seen in the previous slide. I am showing again you. So this is the simple surge tank. So this is the vertical type surge tank that is in which it is being connected in between the tunnel and the pen stroke as shown in the figure, and as soon as the water is being flown from reservoir to the pen stroke through the tunnel, the surge tank is being installed in between the tunnel and the pen stroke, and thus reducing the acceleration of the water and reducing the momentum of the water, and thus uh, avoiding the sudden rise in the pressure and avoiding the corrosiveness or pores, avoiding the generation of pores in the inner surface of the water, and so as to increase the life of the pipes. Second is the, you can see here we are having, second one is the expansion type chamber surge tank. So this is the figure, you can see this is the figure of this slide. You can see this is the expansion chamber type surge tank. So it consists of basically the expansion tank at the top and the expansion gallery at the bottom. This is also called conduct, and conduct pipe from where the water is being transported. This is the lower gallery. You can see the middle portion of the surge tank. This is called the lower gallery, and at the top of the expansion, this is called the expansion chamber. And as these expansion limits the stream surges. So as soon as the water is being transported from this conduct pipe, the water is, this lower gallery and expansion chamber are reducing the rise in the pressure, sudden rise in the pressure, and deaccelerating the momentum of the water that is being transported from the one end to other end. Next is the inclined surge tank. You can see in the case of the initial cases, we have installed the surge tank in the vertical position, whether it may be in the gallery or the expansion surge tank, or in the case of the simple surge tank. But whenever there is a limit in the height of the tank, that is, you cannot uh, install a higher height or the vertical height surge tank in between the tunnel and the penstoke, then you can install a inclined surge tank. So whenever there is a limitation of height, you cannot install a longer height surge tank. You can install a inclined surge tank. The purpose is same, so that to deaccelerate the excess pressure energy that is being transmitted from the one end to other end of the penstoke. Next is the restricted orifice surge tank. So you can see here, this is an orifice in between. You can see the cursor of the mouse. So this is the conduct, that is a pipe from where the water is being transported, and a small orifice, that is a small hole is being left. So on the upper side we have the surge tank. The surge tank is connected to the penstoke through an orifice that is being provided to the base of the tank, and this restriction is also increasing the head loss, and consequently there is large acceleration and deceleration. So we are having a very small duct, we are having a very small uh, orifice through which the water is being transmitted from the conduct to the surge tank. So here also in the restricted orifice, here also we are uh, having a very small area. So you are increasing the velocity by decreasing the area, and hence you are decreasing the pressure. As you can see, we have read in the continuity equation of flow that its area is inversely proportional to velocity. So here, as soon as the area is decreasing, the velocity will be more. If the velocity will be more, the pressure will be less, because area is directly proportional to pressure, whereas it is inversely proportional to velocity. So here you are decreasing the area of the surge tank, decreasing the entry area of the surge tank, and hence you are decreasing the pressure. So this is the concept behind using this orifice in the restricted orifice surge tank, because here at the entry we have reduced the area, we have reduced the pressure itself, and that pressure is being converted into the kinetic energy, that is the velocity will be increased, and hence the water will enter into the surge tank very quickly from the conduct to the surge tank, because in between the surge tank and the conduct we have a installed a orifice. Orifice is nothing but, you can easily understand, uh, you have a compact disc, you have already seen a compact disc or the CD, the central hole where you can insert your finger also, that is a kind of orifice. So orifice is basically circular plate which is having a smaller diameter hole in between its axis. So this orifice meter, or the orifice is being left in between the surge tank and the conduct, and as soon as the water is entered from conduct to the surge tank, its area is less at the entry, and therefore we have reduced the pressure, and our purpose was to deaccelerate and to destroy the momentum of the water which is being transferred from the higher height to the lower height. So this was the main purpose, to install the orifice, and this is why it is also known as restricted orifice surge tank. So next is the, you can see this is the differential surge tank. Moving on to the next slide. So in this you can see we are having a conduct and a riser is being installed, where You can see the tank is connected at the bottom of the supply pipe to a small vertical pipe called riser, and the riser is being provided with a small hole. So similar is the case as we have installed a orifice in the previous case of the restricted flow, restricted orifice flow surge tank. Similarly, in the differential surge tank, we have installed a riser, and one end of the riser is open to the surge tank, and other end is having very small hole entry. And as soon as the diameter is small, the velocity will be more and the pressure will be less, because diameter is less, that is entry level, the riser, at the riser the diameter is less, so as the pressure will be less, that is we have reduced the pressure at the entry of the pipe, at the entry of the surge tank. So as soon as the area is will be less, whenever the water enter into the riser, it overflows and rises. The riser also contains the angular ports at the lower ends. So the differential surge tank, you can say, is very rapid in its action, and hence has the additional advantages to reducing the pressure rise and also increasing the kinetic energy, and also surging the pressure energy. Surging means that is destroying the larger momentum of the pressure energy, and also for the same stability effect, the required capacity of the differential such tank would be less than that of the simple cylindrical tank. So it is having some space constraint. It is smaller in size. You can install that differential such tank in the lesser space also, whereas the vertical such tank or the simple such tank cannot be installed at the higher height. So for today's lecture, I think this is sufficient for today's lecture.